At the center of every story is somebody like this.
The goal to give my life purpose is melons!
Well, maybe not exactly like that, but every story has a main character or protagonist that makes key decisions that affect the plot, primary influence in the story, and propelling it forward. Often, this is the character who faces the most significant obstacles, while we as the audience follow alongside. For the longest time in shonen anime specifically, there was a perfect formula for creating a protagonist. If you look at characters like Goku, Luffy, and Naruto, arguably the most famous protagonist trio ever, you'll see the formula I mentioned. Main character starts at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of strength. They set a goal to become the strongest for whatever reason. Goku wanted to become the strongest martial artist in history, Naruto wanted to become the Hokage, and Luffy the Pirate King. And they all face progressively stronger enemies until they reach their goal. Now, I'm by no means saying this is bad writing or anything, I'm just explaining the formula that brought us some of the most popular fictional stories of all time. This formula worked for so long, however, it's not until recently that there's been a shift. The most popular new gen anime all have abandoned this formula for something different. In this video, I'm going to focus on 3 significant distinctions between old and new gen shonen protagonists with regards to how they're written. The main differences being in goals or goal setting, overall tone of the story, and relation to the major antagonist. For old gen, I'm mainly going to talk about Goku and Naruto, and for new gen, Yuji and Denji. This video will contain spoilers for Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, JJK manga, and the Chainsaw Man manga. So yeah, you've been warned. Back to the video. One of the biggest differences between old gen and new gen protagonists is not only what their goals are, but also how they're established. Taking a look at Goku and Naruto, they set their own goals and were clear on what they wanted since childhood. For Goku, it was to be the strongest martial artist in the world, and for Naruto, it was to be the Hokage. Both characters chose their goals and in turn their own paths for their lives. Goku wanted to become the strongest because he enjoyed fighting and wanted to use that strength to protect his friends whenever they were in danger. Naruto wanted to become the Hokage to prove himself to be worthy of the respect of everyone around him after being outcasted as a child. Compare this to modern shonen protagonists and you'll see it's completely different. Yuji, for example, was just minding his own business until he came across a cursed finger from the spawn of Satan. Yuji was put in a position to either eat this crusty ass finger or be eaten by it, whatever this is. This decision is what ultimately sets his story into motion. Because of this, Yuji learns that his body is capable of suppressing Sukuna's spirit. He's then given a chance to choose between being executed on the spot or consume all the fingers and then be executed. Yuji chooses the latter, and this is the perfect example of the difference between old gen and new gen protagonists. When it comes to goals in terms of goal setting and the path they have to go to achieve these goals, new gen protagonists usually don't get to decide that on their own. Denji is another prime example of this. As a kid, he grew up with no parents and living with an inherited debt to the Yakuza from his father. Bro was so poor he sold one of his testicles and was still in crippling debt. He made a living killing devils for the Yakuza with his best friend Pochita, who happens to be a devil dog. One day he gets betrayed by the Yakuza and sacrificed to the zombie devil and ends up dying. Pochita becomes Denji's heart and he gets reborn as the Chainsaw Devil. From there he meets Makima and she gives him the ultimatum to either join her as a devil hunter or be executed as a devil. Furthermore, proving my point that the formula that works for modern shonen protagonists has changed. Neither Denji nor Yuji got a chance to set their own goals, let alone lay out their own paths in life. Both were put into horrible situations and had to choose what they thought would be the lesser of two evils. Goku and Naruto, on the other hand, set goals and worked toward achieving that goal, and while certain obstacles on the side may have come up, they still moved toward a predetermined goal. It's interesting because the fact that modern protagonists don't start off with a particular goal in mind adds to the overall unpredictability and vibe of the shows. Another major difference between old gen and new gen anime is the tone of the series. While Dragon Ball Z does have a significantly darker tone than Dragon Ball, it's still not considered a dark anime. The same goes for Naruto, which is probably how they became such popular and iconic shows for the time period. The lighter tones made them more digestible for a wider audience at a time when anime was just a budding industry. This worked to gain an initial momentum for shonen anime, however there weren't any mega popular shonen anime with an overall dark and gloomy tone. Series like JJK and Chainsaw Man, however, completely break that mold. Both Yuji and Denji's story consists of pain, 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 and more pain. When you look at Goku and Naruto's journey, you get a feeling of triumph and accomplishment watching them overcome the countless obstacles that show up. While both shows do have certain dark moments where a character might die, by the end of the arc you're somehow left with a feeling of hope. For example, when Jiraiya died to Pain, while that was a sad moment, by the end of the arc we watched Naruto turn the person that killed him him from a murderous cult leader to a fellow comrade. It's even more apparent when you look at Dragon Ball Z. In the Frieza saga, we had two major deaths in Vegeta and Krillin, and they were both brought back in the very same arc. So not only do Yuji and Denji get put into life or death ultimatums, but along the journey, while trying to do good, they experience nothing but pain and suffering. There's no talk no jutsu that can save them from their antagonists. I think it's that raw and realistic portrayal of these fantasy worlds that make them so captivating. There's an unsettling feeling of not knowing if or when one of your favorite characters might die, or even worse, have their body used to kill another one of your favorite characters, and then they die. For example, in the Shibuya incident arc, when Sukuna first shows up, the entire vibe of the show switches up. You just know he's about to do something menacing, and yeah, the first thing he does is decapitate two teenage girls. The fact that we have to watch all these things being done by the hands of the main character leaves us as the audience with an unsettling feeling. This relationship between Yuji and Sukuna is something that new gen anime has also switched up, which is a breath of fresh air. This relationship between the protagonist and antagonist is another interesting difference when you look at old and new shonen anime. This point would be easier to explain by looking at modern anime first. In Chainsaw Man, for example, Makima is the main antagonist of part 1, however, this isn't made apparent until very far into the series. She's introduced as a comrade and mentor to Denji, and we're only given glimpses that she might not be trustworthy. This goes back to what I said about modern shonen typically having an unnerving feeling about them. You can't help but suspect Makima is up to something, however, there's no proof until it's too late and it's revealed that she's, for lack of a better term, a conniving hoe. The Makima reveal is one of the most chilling reveals I've ever experienced, mainly because you spend so much time with her, even seeing her save Denji multiple times, just for it to be revealed that it was part of a sick and twisted plan to break Denji mentally. This same unconventional relationship between protagonist and antagonist is also seen in JJK. Our protagonist Yuji is forced to share a body with the main antagonist of the series. This leads to countless turmoil not only on the outside, but on the inside mentally for Yuji. This is a dynamic new gen anime have mastered that separates them from older anime. Their ability to intertwine antagonists into the heart of the protagonist story is fire, compared to old shonen protagonists who just shared opposing viewpoints with their antagonists from the first time that they met them. Think Goku and Frieza, Naruto and Madara. These antagonists came into the story as opposing forces, which is the norm, but it's also why somebody like Makima is so interesting as an antagonist. Overall, I would say the differences the new generation bring are refreshing. However, like I said before, it doesn't automatically make them better or worse. Both formulas have things they do well and things they don't do well. It's always good though for pieces of media in any genre to transform and evolve over time, because formulas can get repetitive. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little different from my normal videos. If you did though, leave a like, leave a comment. I love you, and I'm out. Peace.